Welcome to Supply Chain Management. Now I know most of you have spent your childhood evenings dreaming of taking your first supply chain management course. But for those handful of you who might not know what supply chain management is, let me provide you a brief explanation. Let's take a simple product, like a bottle of water. Clean water, a plastic bottle, a plastic cap, and a label. Buying them at the store or vending machine might cost you about $1.50. How much of that do you think is profit? Nope. Wrong. Wrong again. Not likely. Water. A plastic bottle and a label. That couldn't cost more than 50 cents. And if you buy them in bulk, how could each bottle not give you at least $1 in profit? Seriously. If you think you can make $1 per bottle, you should drop out of college right now and get into the bottled water business. You see, this right here illustrates one of the most common consumer misconceptions. Product cost is not equal to material cost. And in business, you don't have the luxury of thinking only as a consumer. You need to think like a business executive, or better yet, an entrepreneur. So, in order to figure out where all that profit went, we need to imagine what it took for that bottle of water to get into your hands. First, you need to negotiate the purchase of the empty bottles and caps. Those bottles will be much easier to transport if they're in boxes. We'll need to shrink wrap those bottles so they don't fall out of the box. We can move a whole lot of boxes quickly if they're all put on pallets. In order to move the pallets, you'll need a forklift, which means you'll need a forklift driver. That forklift will then take the pallet and put it into a truck, which will require a truck, driver, fuel, and insurance. Also, you'll need a label for that bottle of water. Therefore, you need to design the label, print the label, and get the label shipped to the plant. Another truck, driver, more fuel, and insurance. Our water bottling plant won't be free, and neither will the energy it uses. In our bottling plant, we'll have employees and bottling machines, and let's not forget the day-to-day items like light bulbs, garbage bags, machine parts, janitorial supplies, toilet paper, and anything else that will be used at the plant by the employees. Oh yeah, and we'll also need access to the drinking water. Machines will then purify the water. Other machines will bottle the water and affix the labels to the bottles. And still, another set of machines will box, shrink wrap, and then palletize the bottles. In order to move those pallets, again, you'll need a forklift, which means we'll need another forklift driver. That forklift will then take the pallets and put them into trucks headed to the distribution centers. And, as we've seen, those trucks will require drivers, fuel, and insurance. Those distribution centers will also require employees, forklifts, and energy. From the distribution center, they'll head out to retail stores on still another truck, which will require a driver, fuel, and insurance. That store will need employees to unload the truck, stock the bottles of water on the shelf or refrigerator. If you have a refrigerator, you'll of course need energy. If we want to secure our stock, we may get a security guard or a security system. And of course, the store will likely get insurance. Also, imagine the costs associated with returning and replacing bottles that are damaged. Oh, and for some reason, even bottles of water sometimes have 1-800 numbers, which means you'll need a staffed call center to answer the customer's questions about your bottle of water. Wow! All those materials, boxes, people, machines, buildings, energy, fuel, and vehicles, they cost money. Those things weren't free, and they probably weren't used efficiently, and it's likely that several bottles didn't survive the journey to the consumer. Oh, and by the way, the employees at the water company, you know, the ones that work in finance, accounting, marketing, human resources, and IT, they want a paycheck too. So, through that simple example of a super simple product, we're beginning to see that companies face challenges when they buy things, make things, move things, sell things, and service things, which includes repair and maintenance. Oh, and let's not forget, companies need to do all of these things using sustainable materials, energy, and methods. Guess whose job it is to make sure that all these things happen flawlessly, with minimal effort, and of course at minimal cost? You guessed it, supply chain managers. The supply chain manager needs to be able to do all of these things. They need to give the customer the product they want, when they want it, as often as they want it, for a reasonable price, while still managing to make a profit. This requires world-class skills and knowledge in the study of supply chain management. There's that scary term again, supply chain management. Let me try to make it friendlier by shuffling around the words. There you go. The management of the chain of supplies. For some reason, that just seems a whole lot easier to understand, doesn't it? But it also helps us understand the complex nature of supply chain management. I mean, the management of the chain of supplies. Now let's think of other products and what their supply chains might encompass. Hamburgers, sweaters, coffee, tables, cars, and airplanes. Now I know many of you are saying, but I live in a service economy. I won't be manufacturing anything. Wrong again. As of 2008, the US was still the #1 exporter of manufactured goods. Okay, maybe not for long. So let's talk about service economy supply chains. Let's think of something you're probably familiar with, the hotel industry. What do hotels manufacture? Lodging experiences, dining experiences, spa experiences, which altogether make up vacation and conference experiences. In order to do all of these things effectively and efficiently, what's required? Hotels need to buy things like beds, furniture, televisions, cable, food, soaps, towels. They also make things, or in this case, manufacture services, like housekeeping, meals, massages, and special events. Hotels also move things, like transporting clean towels and food to and from the rooms, as well as transporting guests and their luggage to and from the airport. They even sell things, like in-room movies, internet services, and tickets to events. And finally, they also provide services such as making reservations, organizing events, making wake-up calls, and even cleaning and pressing clothes. Once again, we see that the fundamental skills learned in supply chain management can be used to manufacture service experiences as much as they aid in manufacturing products. Well, I hope that this has given you an idea of what supply chain management is all about. You see, this is the reason why little kids all around the world want to be supply chain managers. They want to take part in manufacturing the best products and services on earth. So again, welcome to supply chain management, where all of your childhood supply chain dreams are about to come true.
If you're looking for innovation, we're always trying to figure out the next best way. Yesterday isn't good enough. We have to figure out a way to get it done right, get it out the door, and be better at it tomorrow. We run public warehousing. We're a 3PL, third-party logistics provider. We inventory it, we put it into our warehouse management system. We distribute it, ship it when they need it shipped. It's all based on condition, count, and time. We want everything just the way you expected it. If they made a perfect roll of paper, we try to get the perfect roll of paper to the destination so the printer can use it.
Osborne Trucking is a long-distance trucking company that does regional work, per se. What we do is we go to the East Coast, primarily out of here with food products, cheese and meat and whatever, and then we go out to the Metro New York area, and we bring mostly imported food stuff back. We're probably running out there 15 times a week, and it's all Wisconsin cheese that we're taking out there.
It's basically broke up into two segments. We have the local part of it and then the over the road. The local consists of serving roughly 160 to 170 dairy farmers in Wisconsin and throughout the Midwest. The second segment would be the over the road portion of it, where we haul food grade products nationally.
Surviving means that you better be leading edge of technology or have access to it. We run a very good computer system. Our customers rely on it. We provide real-time information. Our employees are our best asset. There's not anything more valuable than our employees. They don't know how to say no. We are a yes company.
I'm a fourth generation. We never really kicked it into long distance trucking until about in the 80s. And then a lot of our runs that we were doing were kind of discontinuing. So we started going out to the East Coast in the 80s, and now we have another subsidiary or sister company out there that is called Fond du Lac Cold Storage out in Edison, New Jersey, which is a public cold storage to where we store wine and cheese out there.
One of the other areas is internet service. We were fortunate just a couple years ago that we were able to get broadband service by putting a tower on our building and using a provider from Sheboygan to provide our broadband service. For many years we just had dial-up in the rural area, and with the technology that we have and the internet, we couldn't do the things that we're doing today had we not been fortunate to be able to get broadband service.
We all need to bring in more manufacturing. But
what are the main supply chain challenges for consumer products and retail companies over the next 10 years? What kind of innovations can companies expect to improve their supply chains? Why is collaboration so important? And what kind of step change can be achieved? Those are the things that are described in the 2016 The Future Supply Chain Report.
I think the biggest challenge for consumer goods manufacturers and retailers will be continuing to delight the shopper and the consumer.
The restrictions we have just in front of us, the oil price especially, and the restrictions related to congestion and the upcoming CO2 emission.
Urban restrictions are now on in a lot of countries that you just can't have heavy vehicles traveling at any time in built-up areas in cities.
Regulatory issues, governmental influences, and let's say price changes in important things like oil prices.
The fact that we need to look for more sustainable ways to do not just transport, but to do the whole supply chain all the way to the consumer. Given the current energy prices, given the need to still improve also customer satisfaction as well as supply chain performance. We know that there is more understanding of the environment, so it's not just the pure financials. It's not just the pure financials, but it's also the fact that the consumer and the opinion of the world at large is changing, and they do want to see better solutions and less waste.
We can't continue to operate with a supply chain that was developed, that evolved over many decades based on a historical way of delivering, of manufacturing and delivering products. The world's changed, and we have to change our supply chain to adapt to it.
We need to be sure that we deliver just in time and in due time and with the right means. But when you see the rise of the transport cost, that means that the organization, the process must be really different, and at the end must provide better service than what we provide.
So external factors mainly will drive the need for a change.
What our supply chain has today that it didn't have in the past is access to information. And at the end of the day, our supply chain runs on information. So if we want to bring innovation to play in the supply chain, we need to start by thinking about the information that's available and how we can incorporate that into better supply chain programs, more efficient supply chain, and just a better overall experience.
Technologies like the electronic product code using RFID provide what we call actionable visibility. So it improves productivity by taking some of the human resources out of the supply network, and yet we have more accurate visibility to what's actually happening in the store. So visibility is a real breakthrough area for me.
And for us to really delight that consumer, which is the goal and focus of each of us, we're really going to have to come together to use that data and turn that data into information that can drive changes in work process and workflow at store level to really enable things like driving improvements on on-shelf availability and driving in-store execution.
There's the real innovation in how do you work together, and information is essential to do that. So I think that side has been stressed in this report particularly.
We have a duty of care to do as little damage as we possibly can to the environment from our operations, and by collaborating much more with retailers and other manufacturers, we can make our supply chains much more efficient and therefore significantly reduce our carbon footprint.
Historically, we have a manufacturer supply chain for the manufacturer, a retailer supply chain for the retailer, but that's really unworkable today. That's just got inbuilt inefficiency. So by collaborating, by working together, not just manufacturers and retailers, but also our suppliers, our third-party suppliers, our logistics, our transportation people, by working together, we can create a far more efficient collaborative model. That's why collaboration is so important. Collaboration is really the delivery of all we want to achieve.
No one enterprise controls the entire supply chain. So by definition, you need a collaborative environment if you're going to make an improvement.
There's only one solution to complexity. This is transparency and networking.
We looked at the real big breaks that the industry could have, and their collaboration is essential.
Do we wait and react, or do we become more innovative, more collaborative, and drive the agenda?
We have already waited much too long because all these challenges are not new.
There's no question if we need to do it, but we need to do it, and we need to do it fast.
All the pressures that are on our industry today just really make this now the time that we have to change. We really have to move into the 21st century across our whole business, but most importantly in our supply chain.
Velkommen til Bevola. Mit navn er Tommy Horn, og jeg er administrerende direktør. Efter finanskrisen har Bevola oplevet, at der har været en øget interesse for effektiviseringer hos vores kunder. Det har betydet, at der har været stor interesse for at få monteret løsninger hos Bevola, og derfor har vi oprettet vores egen montageafdeling, som nu i dag er i stand til at montere alle former for kitløsninger. Bevola har mere end 12.000 produkter og løsninger på hylderne. For 3 år siden startede vi en renovering af vores lager, og ved den lejlighed der købte vi 2 lagerautomater, som i dag indeholder alle vores små komponenter. Det betyder en øget effektivitet på vores lager.
Mit navn er Leonard Jensen. Jeg er ansvarlig for vores udviklingsafdeling. Vores udviklingsafdeling der består af 3 grene. Den består af en udvikling, den består af en beregningsafdeling, og så noget, der hedder værdipartner. Vi har det sidste nye udstyr inden for CAD, og det gør, at vi overfor vores kunder er i stand til at præsentere nogle helt unikke løsninger.
Vores laserskærer har en effekt på 4 kW. Med den kan vi med høj præcision og hastighed skære op til 1,5 gange 5 meter plader i helt op til 12 mm tykkelse.
Vi har her en opgave på en IP67 sikret boks til en GPS-unit, som vi har designet for en kunde, og efter godkendelse er den sat i produktion i Kina, og vi leverer nu ca. 1000 stykker per ordre.